So I interviewed two teachers. One was Mr. Schaefer, which is a third grade math and social studies teacher, and the other was Zoe, who is in our Teach Now cohort, and she's a ninth grade English teacher. So these are the questions that I asked during the interview. First question, how long before the lesson do you have to plan it? Richard says, I normally write my lessons on Saturday mornings for the following school week. And Zoe says, she plans her lessons usually a week in advance. Their school does not give much time for lessons, so she usually does it during her lesson planning, so she usually does it during her lunch break. And it really depends on the lesson with how much time it will take to finish. Some can take 30 minutes, some can take a few hours. Does the school require... Next question. Does the school require a specific lesson planning template? And Mr. Schaefer says he's free to use the template of his choice, but his lesson plans include the following points: the content and language objectives, analytical focus question, what he's going to do for direct instruction or modeling, what he's doing for guided practice, what the students will do for independent work, an exit ticket, and grouping strategies. Zoe says her school does not require a specific lesson planning template. Next question, do you write a lesson plan for every lesson that is taught? Mr. Schaefer says yes, he does. He usually writes every lesson out for the week during the weekend before that school week. And Zoe says yes, she does write a lesson plan for every lesson that is taught. Does the school require lesson plans to be submitted to administrators or shared with parents? Mr. Schaefer says yes. He shares them with the principal, the IEIS team, the teachers in the same grade, and any instructional assistants that are involved in the classroom. So he says the school does not require the lesson plans to be submitted to administrators, but they are uploaded to a school platform. How closely do teachers follow their lesson plans? Mr. Schaefer says he follows his lesson plans very closely. There's not many times that he does not follow them closely. Zoe says she doesn't always follow the lesson too closely, but does always have an introduction, a conclusion, and the use of vocab words. Do you have to change the lesson plan while you are teaching? Mr. Schaefer says sometimes if students are struggling with the content, he may slow down and modify instruction or even reteach the content if needed. Similar to Richard, Zoe said that if students aren't grasping the information or may need a little more time on something, the lesson may need to be adjusted or changed. Reflection. Overall, I learned a lot from my interviewing these two teachers. I have no prior experience writing lesson plans, so I'll use their feedback when writing my own in the future. It was interesting to see the differences and similarities in a third grade classroom in Arizona and a ninth grade classroom in Peru. Like Mr. Schaefer, I can see myself preparing over the weekend. It's a good idea to plan in advance so that the lesson is detailed and I am fully prepared. I also now understand that it's okay if changes in a lesson happen while it's being taught. One thing I hope and look forward to doing is planning units with other teachers like Zoe. This allows me to get feedback during the process and not have to create it all on my own.